Good evening, everyone. Today I stand before you to discuss a topic that is as crucial as it is challenging: identifying the signs of being in a relationship with a narcissist. Relationships are supposed to be sanctuaries of love, trust, and mutual respect. But what happens when the person you trust the most manipulates, controls, and chips away at your sense of self? This isn't just a hypothetical question, it's a reality for far too many people. Narcissistic relationships are insidious. They don't start with glaring red flags, but often with charm, grand gestures, and promises of unwavering devotion. It's only later that the true colors emerge, leaving partners confused, hurt, and questioning their own worth. The narcissist thrives on control, validation, and power, often leaving their partner emotionally drained and vulnerable. Narcissistic relationships aren't limited to romantic ones. They can appear in friendships, family dynamics, and even professional settings. However, in intimate partnerships, the impact is particularly devastating because of the depth of emotional vulnerability involved. Identifying the signs of narcissism is the first step toward reclaiming your autonomy and mental well-being. Today I'll outline 7 unmistakable signs that you may be in a relationship with a narcissist. These signs will help you identify patterns of behavior that are manipulative and toxic. Remember, knowledge is power. By understanding these signs, you empower yourself to set boundaries, seek help, or if necessary, leave a harmful situation. The aim of this discussion isn't to demonize people with narcissistic traits, but to equip you with the tools to recognize when those traits are harming you. Narcissism exists on a spectrum, and not everyone who exhibits narcissistic tendencies is abusive. However, when these tendencies escalate into controlling and emotionally abusive behavior, it's vital to take action. Let's delve into the 7 key signs that you may be in a relationship with a narcissist, shedding light on the darkness that can cloud your judgment and prevent you from living your fullest life. One of the most defining traits of a narcissist is their relentless need for admiration and validation. This characteristic is not simply about enjoying compliments or occasional recognition. It is an unquenchable thirst that drives their interactions and relationships. In a romantic context, this need can significantly impact the dynamics of the relationship, often leaving the non-narcissistic partner feeling invisible or unimportant. At the beginning of the relationship, a narcissist may come across as charming, charismatic, and attentive. They often employ a tactic known as love bombing, showering their partner with excessive attention, gifts, and praise to create an intense emotional connection. During this phase, the partner may feel like the center of the narcissist's world. However, this initial charm is not sustainable because the narcissist's need for admiration is not genuinely about the partner. It is about feeding their ego. Over time, the narcissist's focus shifts from giving admiration to demanding it. They might expect constant affirmation of their talents, appearance, intelligence, or achievements. Even mundane aspects of their life, like the way they dress or their choice of words, may become subjects for which they seek praise. When this admiration is not forthcoming, they can react with irritation, anger, or even outright hostility. For the partner, this relentless demand for validation can feel exhausting and one-sided. The narcissist's preoccupation with themselves leaves little room for the emotional needs of the other person. Conversations, for instance, may always loop back to the narcissist, turning every shared moment into a stage for their self-promotion. The partner may find that their achievements or struggles are minimized or overshadowed as the narcissist redirects attention to their own experiences. This dynamic can erode the partner's self-esteem over time. They may start questioning their worth, wondering why their needs and feelings seem to matter so little in the relationship. In some cases, the partner might even feel pressured to constantly inflate the narcissist's ego to maintain peace or avoid conflict, creating a cycle of emotional labor that benefits only one party. The narcissist's need for admiration stems from deep-seated insecurities. Despite their outward confidence and bravado, Many narcissists grapple with feelings of inadequacy or unworthiness. The constant need for validation acts as a mask, shielding them from confronting these insecurities. By surrounding themselves with praise and admiration, they momentarily silence their inner doubts. A healthy relationship is characterized by mutual support and admiration, where both partners feel valued and celebrated. In a narcissistic relationship, however, this balance is skewed. If you find yourself constantly giving compliments, avoiding criticism, or feeling like your needs take a backseat to your partner's ego, it's a clear indication of an unhealthy dynamic. Understanding this sign is crucial because it sets the stage for recognizing the broader patterns of narcissistic behavior. The excessive need for admiration is not just a personality quirk. It's a cornerstone of the narcissist's identity that affects every aspect of the relationship. Recognizing this early can empower you to set boundaries and protect your emotional well-being. A lack of empathy is one of the most telling and damaging traits of a narcissist. Empathy is the ability to understand, share, and respond to the feelings of others. It's what allows us to connect on a deeper level, build trust, and foster genuine intimacy in relationships. When empathy is absent, as it often is with narcissists, the result is an emotional void that can leave their partner feeling isolated, invalidated, and unseen. In a relationship with a narcissist, the lack of empathy may initially be subtle. They may appear supportive or attentive, especially during the idealization phase, at the beginning of the relationship. However, as time passes, their inability or unwillingness to genuinely connect with your emotions becomes increasingly apparent. Dismissiveness of your feelings. A narcissist may downplay or dismiss your emotions when you share something significant. For instance, if you express sadness or frustration, they might say, "You're overreacting," or "It's not a big deal." Over time, this constant invalidation can make you hesitant to open up, fearing ridiculous and indifference. Self-centered responses. Instead of acknowledging your emotions, the narcissist often shifts the focus back to themselves. If you tell them about a bad day, they might interrupt to recount their own troubles, leaving no space for your experiences. Their conversations are rarely about genuine interest in you, but rather about how they can position themselves as more important or central. Exploitation of vulnerabilities. A more manipulative manifestation of their lack of empathy is when they exploit your emotions for their own gain. For example, if you express insecurity, they might use it to manipulate or control you later, reminding you of your vulnerabilities to keep you dependent. Being in a relationship with someone who lacks empathy can be profoundly isolating. Over time, you may feel as though your emotions, needs, and experiences don't matter. This dynamic can lead to feelings of loneliness and self-doubt, as the narcissist's indifference undermines your confidence in your perceptions and self-worth. Partners of narcissists often report feeling emotionally drained because they are constantly trying to meet the narcissist's emotional needs without receiving any support in return. The emotional labor required to navigate a relationship with a narcissist can be exhausting, leaving you with little energy to care for yourself or seek solace elsewhere. The lack of empathy in narcissism is deeply rooted in their psychological makeup. Narcissism is often associated with an exaggerated sense of self-importance and a need for validation. This self-focus leaves little room for considering others' feelings. In many cases, narcissists view emotions, both their own and others, as weaknesses. Acknowledging your feelings or responding empathetically might challenge their sense of superiority or control. Additionally, many narcissists have a fragile sense of self. Empathy requires vulnerability. the ability to step outside of oneself and truly feel another person's emotions. For narcissists, this vulnerability is a threat, as it exposes the insecurities they work so hard to conceal. Identifying a lack of empathy in a relationship requires paying attention to how your partner responds to your emotions and needs. Some questions to ask yourself include: do they listen and validate your feelings, or do they dismiss or belittle them? Are they capable of understanding and supporting you during difficult times? Do their responses show care for your well-being, or are they self-serving? If your partner consistently fails to show empathy, it's a sign of a deeper issue that won't easily change. If you're in a relationship with a narcissist, understanding their lack of empathy can help you navigate the situation. While you cannot teach someone empathy, you can set boundaries to protect your emotional well-being. Surrounding yourself with supportive friends or seeking therapy can help counterbalance the emotional void caused by the narcissist's indifference. Remember, relationships are meant to be reciprocal. If empathy is absent, the relationship will likely continue to be one-sided, with your needs consistently overlooked. Recognizing this dynamic is the first step toward prioritizing your emotional health and making decisions that honor your worth. Gaslighting is one of the most insidious tactics employed by narcissists to maintain control and power in a relationship. It is a form of psychological manipulation that causes the victim to question their perceptions, memories, and even their sanity. Over time, this technique erodes your confidence in your reality, leaving you dependent on the narcissist for a sense of truth. Gaslighting is not just a tool of manipulation, it is a strategy designed to dismantle your autonomy. Gaslighting often begins subtly and escalates over time. The narcissist employs it to rewrite history, distort facts, or dismiss your feelings in ways that make you second-guess yourself. Here are some common ways gaslighting appears in relationships. Denial of events. A narcissist might outright deny something you know happened. For instance, if they made a hurtful comment, they might say, "I never said that," or "You're imagining things." This denial forces you to question your memory. Minimization of feelings. If you express how their actions made you feel, they may respond with, "You're being too sensitive," or "You're overreacting." This minimizes your emotions and invalidates your experience. Contradictory statements. Narcissists often contradict themselves without acknowledging the inconsistency. For example, they may praise your work one day and ridicule it the next, leaving you confused and unsure of their true feelings. Shifting blame. A classic gaslighting tactic is to deflect responsibility for their actions by blaming you. If you confront them about something, they might turn the tables and say, "This wouldn't have happened if you weren't so difficult." Manipulating evidence. In extreme cases, a narcissist might manipulate physical or verbal evidence to support their version of reality. For example, they might selectively quote past conversations to suit their narrative, or even hide items and claim you misplaced them. Rewriting history. Over time, a narcissist may alter the narrative of your shared experiences, insisting events unfolded differently from how you remember. This can leave you feeling disoriented and unsure of your memories. Gaslighting takes a significant toll on the victim's mental and emotional well-being. The constant distortion of reality causes confusion and self-doubt, making you feel as though you can't trust your own thoughts or instincts. This dependence on the narcissist for clarity creates a power imbalance, as they position themselves as the arbiter of truth. Victims of gaslighting often experience eroded confidence. Doubting your ability to remember or perceive events accurately undermines your self-esteem. Anxiety and fear. The unpredictability of the narcissist's reactions can make you feel constantly on edge. Isolation. Gaslighting often isolates you from friends and family, as the narcissist convinces you that others are against you or that you're imagining issues. Gaslighting serves two primary purposes for narcissists. Control. By destabilizing your sense of reality, they maintain control over the relationship. When you're unsure of your own thoughts and feelings, you're more likely to rely on them for guidance and validation. Protection narcissists often gaslight to protect their fragile egos. By denying or twisting reality, they avoid accountability for their actions and maintain their image of superiority. Identifying gaslighting can be challenging because its effects are cumulative and often subtle. Here are some red flags to watch for. Do you often find yourself apologizing even when you're not sure what you did wrong? Are you frequently questioning your memory or perception of events? Do you feel like you're walking on eggshells, afraid of provoking your partner's reactions? Has your self-confidence diminished since entering the relationship? If you answered yes to these questions, gaslighting may be at play. If you suspect gaslighting in your relationship, here are steps you can take to safeguard your mental health. Keep a record. Document interactions, conversations, and events in a journal. This can help you verify your memories and identify patterns of manipulation. Seek outside perspectives. Talk to trusted friends, family members, or a therapist about your experiences. Their insights can provide clarity and affirm your perceptions. Set boundaries. Confront the behavior calmly and firmly. For example, you might say, "I remember this differently, and I'm confident in my memory." Prioritize your well-being. Focus on self-care and building your sense of self-worth outside the relationship. This can help reduce the narcissist's influence over your reality. Gaslighting is a powerful tool that narcissists use to maintain dominance, but recognizing it is the first step toward breaking free. No one deserves to live in a constant state of doubt and confusion. By reclaiming your sense of reality and seeking support, you can rebuild your confidence and regain control over your life. Remember, your feelings and experiences are valid, and no amount of manipulation can take that truth away from you. A narcissist's sense of entitlement is one of their most defining traits. This mindset goes beyond mere self-centeredness. It is a deeply ingrained belief that they deserve special treatment, admiration, and privileges, often at the expense of others. This entitlement manifests in ways that disrupt the balance of a healthy relationship, as the narcissist consistently prioritizes their needs and desires over yours. A narcissist's sense of entitlement influences nearly every aspect of their behavior in a relationship. Here are the most common ways this trait becomes evident. Special treatment. Narcissists expect to be treated as though they are superior or exceptional. Whether it's demanding priority in decision-making or expecting you to accommodate their schedule, they believe their needs should always come first. If these expectations aren't met, they may react with anger, frustration, or even punishment. Rules don't apply to them. Narcissists often believe they are exempt from the rules and norms that govern others. For example, they might insist on loyalty and honesty from you while justifying their own lies or infidelity. They see themselves as above accountability. Disregard for your time and effort. In their world, your time, energy, and resources exist to serve them. They may take advantage of your generosity without reciprocating, assuming that their needs naturally outweigh yours. Interrupting or dismissing your needs. Conversations often revolve around their desires, and when you express your own needs, they may brush them aside or even mock them. For example, if you're tired and ask for help with chores, they might respond with, "I've had a harder day than you, why are you complaining?" Outrage when denied. Narcissists don't handle rejection or denial well. If you set boundaries or refuse to meet their demands, they may lash out with anger, blame, or manipulation. This behavior, sometimes referred to as narcissistic rage, stems from their inability to cope with perceived threats to their superiority. The narcissist's sense of entitlement creates a toxic, one-sided dynamic in the relationship, leaving you to shoulder the emotional, physical, and mental burden of maintaining it. Over time, this imbalance can have severe consequences. Loss of identity. Constantly prioritizing their needs can make you feel as though your identity and desires don't matter. you may begin to neglect your own well-being to avoid conflict or gain their approval. Exhaustion and resentment. Meeting the narcissist's endless demands can be emotionally and physically draining. The lack of reciprocation often leads to feelings of frustration and resentment. Eroded self-worth. Being in a relationship where your needs are consistently dismissed can make you question your worth and value. You may start to believe that your feelings are less important or even invalid. A narcissist's sense of entitlement is deeply rooted in their personality structure. It often originates from a combination of factors, such as childhood experiences and psychological defenses. Fragile ego. Narcissists often have an inflated sense of self-worth as a way to protect themselves from feelings of inadequacy. Their entitlement serves as a buffer against insecurity. Upbringing. Some narcissists were raised in environments where they were excessively pampered or placed on a pedestal, leading them to believe that their needs should always take precedence. Lack of empathy. Their inability to connect with others' emotions reinforces their belief that other people's needs are secondary to their own. To identify this behavior, consider these questions. Does your partner expect you to cater to their needs without considering yours? Do they react negatively when you set boundaries or say no? Are they unwilling to compromise or share responsibilities? If the answer to these questions is yes, their sense of entitlement may be at the core of these dynamics. Set and enforce boundaries. Clearly communicate your limits and stick to them. For example, you can say, "I won't be able to accommodate your request today because I have my own priorities." Shift the focus to yourself. Start prioritizing your own needs and desires. Practice self-care and assertiveness to rebuild your sense of worth and autonomy. You mean we don't fall in love again? Seek outside support. Friends, family, or a therapist can provide an outside perspective and emotional strength, especially when the narcissist's entitlement becomes overwhelming. Evaluate the relationship. Consider whether the relationship can improve, or if it's too toxic to continue. A sense of entitlement is a deeply ingrained trait that is unlikely to change without significant effort from the narcissist, and they must be willing to make that effort, which is rare. A narcissist's sense of entitlement creates an unhealthy dynamic that revolves entirely around their needs, leaving little space for your happiness and well-being. Recognizing this behavior is essential to regaining control over your life. Remember, a healthy relationship is built on mutual respect, consideration, and compromise. Qualities that are absent when one partner views themselves as inherently superior. The journey to overcoming this imbalance begins with recognizing the pattern, asserting your worth, and taking steps to prioritize yourself. Whether that means setting boundaries, seeking professional support, or leaving the relationship altogether, the most important step is acknowledging that you deserve better. No one is entitled to take more than they give, and you have every right to demand equality in your relationships. And manipulation is a cornerstone of narcissistic behavior and a powerful tool they use to maintain dominance and control in relationships. Unlike healthy influence, which seeks mutual benefit, narcissistic manipulation is self-serving, designed to exploit and undermine their partner for personal gain. This behavior is often subtle and insidious, making it difficult to recognize until significant emotional damage has been done. Manipulation can take many forms in a narcissistic relationship, and it often evolves as the narcissist learns more about their partner's vulnerabilities. Here are some common tactics narcissists use. Love bombing. At the start of the relationship, narcissists often use excessive flattery, affection, and attention to create an intense emotional connection. This overwhelming attention makes you feel special and deeply valued. However, it's a tactic to gain control and ensure you're emotionally invested before they start revealing their darker tendencies. Guilt tripping. Narcissists are masters at making you feel guilty for things that aren't your fault. For example, if you confront them about hurtful behavior, they might say, "After everything I've done for you, this is how you treat me." This tactic shifts the focus away from their actions and places the burden of responsibility on you. Emotional blackmail. They may use your emotions, insecurities, or vulnerabilities against you to get what they want. For instance, they might threaten to withdraw affection, break up, or escalate conflict if you don't comply with their demands. Triangulation. Narcissists often involve a third party to manipulate your emotions. They might compare you unfavorably to someone else, such as an ex-partner, to make you feel insecure or unworthy. Alternatively, they might share private details about your relationship with others to create tension or mistrust. Playing the victim. When confronted or challenged, narcissists often portray themselves as the victim to deflect accountability. They might say things like, "You're always attacking me," or "I can never do anything right in your eyes." This tactic manipulates your empathy and shifts the focus away from their behavior. Gaslighting, a subset of manipulation. As discussed earlier, gaslighting is a common tool in their manipulative arsenal. By distorting reality and making you question your perceptions, they create confusion and dependence. Breadcrumbing. Narcissists may give you just enough attention or affection to keep you hooked, especially when they sense you're pulling away. This sporadic reinforcement creates hope and keeps you invested in the relationship. Manipulation takes a heavy toll on the victim's mental and emotional well-being. The constant push and pull dynamic creates a roller coaster of emotions, leading to confusion, self-doubt, and even emotional dependency on the narcissist. Erosion of trust. Manipulation undermines trust, both in your partner and in your own instincts. You may begin to question your judgment, making it harder to recognize toxic behaviors. Emotional exhaustion. Being subject to constant manipulation is draining. You may feel like you're walking on eggshells, trying to avoid conflict or guessing how to meet their unpredictable expectations. Loss of autonomy. Over time, the narcissist's manipulation can strip you of your ability to make independent decisions. You may find yourself deferring to them out of fear, guilt, or confusion. Dependency. Narcissists often manipulate you into becoming emotionally dependent on them. By alternating between affection and criticism, they create a cycle where you crave their approval, even as their behavior harms you. Manipulation is a tool narcissists use to maintain control and ensure their needs are met, often at the expense of others. This behavior is rooted in several underlying factors. Desire for power. Narcissists thrive on dominance in relationships. Manipulation allows them to maintain the upper hand and keep their partner submissive. Fear of vulnerability. By controlling the narrative and dynamics of the relationship, they shield themselves from emotional exposure or accountability. Ego preservation. Manipulation helps them avoid confronting their insecurities. By shifting blame or responsibility, they reinforce their image of superiority. Habitual behavior. For many narcissists, manipulation is a learned and ingrained behavior. They've often used it successfully in the past to achieve their goals, making it their default approach. To identify manipulation in your relationship, reflect on the following questions. Does your partner frequently twist situations to make you feel at fault? Are you often confused about whether your feelings or concerns are valid? Do you feel pressured to prioritize their needs over your own, even when it's unreasonable? Does your partner's behavior leave you feeling drained or anxious? If these patterns resonate, manipulation may be at play. Educate yourself. Understanding manipulation tactics can help you recognize them when they occur. Knowledge is a powerful defense against their influence. Set clear boundaries. Clearly communicate what you will and won't tolerate. For example, if they attempt to guilt trip you, you can say, "I won't engage in this conversation if it's not respectful." Document patterns. Keep a journal of interactions where you feel manipulated. This can provide clarity and serve as a reminder of the recurring behaviors. Seek outside support. Friends, family, or a therapist can provide valuable perspectives and help you regain confidence in your instincts. Prioritize self-care. Focus on your emotional and mental well-being. Activities that build self-esteem, such as hobbies or therapy, can help counteract the effects of manipulation. Manipulation is a hallmark of toxic relationships, and recognizing it is the first step toward regaining your power. Remember, a healthy relationship is built on trust, mutual respect, and genuine care, not control or deceit. By setting boundaries, seeking support, and prioritizing your well-being, you can protect yourself from further harm and work toward reclaiming your independence and self-worth. Recognizing manipulation is an act of self-love and courage. Once you see through the narcissist's tactics, you can take the necessary steps to free yourself from their control and rebuild a life grounded in authenticity and respect. A defining characteristic of narcissists is their chronic need for validation. This need goes beyond normal human desires for appreciation or recognition. It is an insatiable craving that drives much of their behavior. Narcissists rely on external validation to maintain their inflated sense of self-worth, as they often lack a stable internal sense of confidence. This dependency on approval creates a toxic dynamic in relationships, where their partner is expected to provide constant admiration, often at great personal cost. The narcissist's relentless pursuit of validation influences every aspect of their interactions, particularly in intimate relationships. Here are some ways this need manifests. Fishing for compliments. Narcissists frequently seek reassurance about their appearance, intelligence, or achievements. They may subtly or overtly ask for praise, saying things like, "Didn't I handle that situation perfectly?" Or, "I bet I'm the best partner you've ever had, right?" This constant need for affirmation can become exhausting for their partner. Boasting and grandiosity. To elicit admiration, narcissists often exaggerate their accomplishments, talents, or importance. They may embellish stories about their success or downplay the contributions of others to position themselves as exceptional. Attention-seeking behaviors. Narcissists thrive on being the center of attention. They may interrupt conversations, dominate social situations, or create drama to ensure the spotlight remains on them. Overreaction to criticism. Any form of criticism, even constructive feedback, is seen as a threat to their fragile ego. Narcissists may respond with anger, defensiveness, or even withdrawal to avoid acknowledging perceived shortcomings. Exploitation for validation. They may use their partner or others as tools to enhance their image. For example, they might flaunt their partner's attractiveness or achievements to garner praise for themselves, as if their partner's qualities reflect solely on their worth. Social media obsession. In the modern age, many narcissists use social media as a platform for validation. They may obsessively post curated content to receive likes, comments, or attention, and their mood can fluctuate based on the amount of praise they receive online. Inability to celebrate others. Narcissists often struggle to share the spotlight. When someone else receives attention or praise, they may feel envious or attempt to redirect focus back to themselves. The narcissist's chronic need for validation places a significant emotional burden on their partner. Over time, this dynamic can erode the partner's confidence, energy, and sense of self. Exhaustion. Constantly catering to the narcissist's need for approval can be draining. Their insatiable appetite for validation means your efforts are never enough, leaving you feeling inadequate. Neglected needs. In the narcissist's quest for affirmation, your own emotional needs are often overlooked or dismissed. The relationship becomes one-sided, with the narcissist taking and the partner giving. Insecurity and self-doubt. Narcissists may seek validation in ways that make their partner feel insecure, such as flirting with others or emphasizing their desirability. This behavior can undermine the partner's self-esteem. Frustration and resentment. The lack of reciprocity in the relationship often leads to feelings of frustration. The partner may resent the constant effort required to maintain the narcissist's fragile ego. The narcissist's need for validation stems from deep-seated insecurities and a fragile sense of self-worth. Despite their outward appearance of confidence, many narcissists struggle with feelings of inadequacy. To compensate, they construct a facade of superiority and rely on external affirmation to sustain this illusion. Fragile ego. Narcissists have an inflated self-image that requires constant reinforcement. Validation acts as a buffer against feelings of inadequacy or self-doubt. Fear of rejection. Underneath their grandiosity lies a fear of being unworthy or unlovable. Validation provides temporary reassurance, masking these deeper insecurities. External locus of identity. Unlike emotionally healthy individuals who derive confidence from within, narcissists depend on external sources for their sense of self. Without validation, they may feel empty or insignificant. To determine if your partner's behavior reflects a chronic need for validation, ask yourself the following questions. Are they constantly seeking praise or reassurance even for minor accomplishments? Do they overreact to criticism or perceived slights? Are they preoccupied with appearances, achievements, or social status? Do they frequently monopolize attention or conversations? If these behaviors are consistent, their need for validation may be driving these dynamics. Set boundaries clearly communicate that while you value their qualities, you cannot constantly provide validation at the expense of your own needs. For instance, you might say, "I appreciate your achievements, but I also need us to focus on mutual support in this relationship." Avoid feeding the cycle. While it's natural to praise your partner, be mindful of when it crosses into unhealthy territory. Don't enable their dependence on external validation. Reinforce your own worth. Focus on building your self-esteem and emotional well-being. This will make it easier to resist the narcissist's attempts to center the relationship around their needs. Seek support. Talk to trusted friends, family members, or a therapist about your experiences. They can provide perspective and help you navigate the challenges of the relationship. A narcissist's chronic need for validation creates a dynamic where their partner is expected to act as a constant source of approval. This imbalance can be emotionally draining and leave little room for genuine connection. Recognizing this pattern is the first step toward reclaiming your autonomy and addressing the unhealthy aspects of the relationship. Remember, a healthy partnership is built on mutual support and validation, not an endless cycle of feeding one person's ego. By prioritizing your own needs and setting clear boundaries, you can protect yourself from the emotional toll of a narcissist's unrelenting need for affirmation. Recognizing your own worth is essential to breaking free from their manipulative dynamics and building healthier, more balanced relationships. One of the most telling and damaging traits of a narcissist is their profound lack of empathy. Empathy, the ability to understand and share the feelings of others, is a cornerstone of healthy relationships. It fosters connection, compassion, and mutual respect. In a narcissist, however, this vital quality is conspicuously absent or severely underdeveloped. This emotional void makes it nearly impossible for them to genuinely connect with others or prioritize their partner's well-being. A narcissist's lack of empathy can be subtle or overt, but its effects are always detrimental to the relationship. Here are some common ways this trait shows up. Indifference to your feelings. Narcissists often dismiss, downplay, or ignore your emotions. For example, if you express sadness or frustration, they might respond with, "Why are you being so dramatic?" or "You're always so sensitive." This invalidation leaves you feeling unheard and unimportant. Inability to comfort or support. In moments of emotional need, a narcissist is unlikely to provide genuine comfort. Instead, they may avoid the situation, make it about themselves, or offer superficial platitudes without real understanding. Exploitation of vulnerabilities. Rather than offering support, narcissists often exploit your vulnerabilities for their gain. For instance, if you share a personal struggle, they might use it against you later in arguments or to manipulate you. Self-focused conversations. Conversations with a narcissist often revolve around their own experiences, achievements, or problems. If you attempt to shift the focus to your feelings or experiences, they may quickly steer it back to themselves or lose interest entirely. Insensitive behavior. Narcissists frequently engage in behavior that demonstrates a disregard for how it affects others. This might include lying, breaking promises, or making decisions that benefit them at your expense. Refusal to acknowledge pain they cause. When their actions hurt you, a narcissist is unlikely to acknowledge or apologize sincerely. They may instead justify their behavior, blame you, or dismiss your feelings altogether. A lack of empathy in a relationship creates a toxic and unbalanced dynamic that leaves the partner feeling unsupported, undervalued, and emotionally isolated. Emotional isolation without empathy. A narcissist cannot truly connect with your feelings or experiences. This emotional distance can make you feel alone, even when physically together. Erosion of self-worth. When your emotions are consistently dismissed or invalidated, you may start to question your own value or feel as though your needs are unimportant. Increased anxiety and stress. Navigating a relationship where your emotional well-being is overlooked can lead to chronic stress and anxiety. You may feel as though you're constantly walking on eggshells, trying to avoid triggering insensitive behavior. Unresolved conflicts. Narcissists' inability to understand or acknowledge your perspective often leaves conflicts unresolved, leading to frustration and resentment over time. The absence of empathy in narcissists is deeply tied to their psychological makeup and defense mechanisms. Understanding the root causes of this behavior can provide insight into why they struggle to connect emotionally. Self-centered worldview. Narcissists are so preoccupied with their own needs, desires, and insecurities that they have little capacity to consider the feelings of others. Their worldview revolves entirely around themselves. Emotional immaturity. Many narcissists exhibit emotional development that is stunted at a young age, leaving them unable to navigate complex emotions or relationships effectively. Fear of vulnerability. Empathy requires emotional vulnerability, something narcissists actively avoid. Engaging with others' feelings might force them to confront their own insecurities or inadequacies, which they work hard to suppress. Lack of emotional awareness. Some narcissists are genuinely unaware of the emotional impact of their behavior. Their inability to connect with others' feelings stems from a fundamental lack of emotional intelligence. To identify whether your partner's lack of empathy is affecting your relationship, consider these questions. Do they frequently dismiss or minimize your feelings? Are they unable or unwilling to comfort you during difficult times? Do they show genuine interest in your emotions, thoughts, and experiences? Do their actions often disregard how you might feel? If these patterns are consistent, their lack of empathy may be a significant issue in the relationship. Acknowledge the reality. Recognize that their lack of empathy is not your fault, nor is it something you can change. Understanding this can help you avoid taking their behavior personally. Set emotional boundaries. Clearly define what kind of behavior you will and won't tolerate. For example, you can say, "It's important to me that my feelings are acknowledged, and I won't continue conversations where they're dismissed." Seek external support. Reach out to friends, family, or a therapist who can validate your feelings and provide emotional support. This outside perspective can help counteract the isolation caused by the narcissist's lack of empathy. Reclaim your emotional independence. Focus on building your self-esteem and emotional resilience. Engage in activities and relationships that nurture your well-being and allow you to express your emotions freely. Evaluate the relationship. Consider whether their inability to empathize is something you can live with. If the relationship consistently leaves you feeling unsupported or invalidated, it may be time to reassess its future. A narcissist's lack of empathy creates an emotional void in the relationship, leaving their partner to bear the weight of their own feelings without support. This dynamic is not only unhealthy but also unsustainable in the long term. Recognizing this behavior is a critical step toward protecting yourself and seeking healthier connections. While empathy cannot be forced, your own well-being and emotional health are within your control. By setting boundaries, seeking support, and prioritizing your emotional needs, you can regain your sense of self and break free from the damaging effects of a relationship with a narcissist. Remember, everyone deserves a partner who listens, cares, and values their feelings. A standard no one should compromise. Recognizing that you're in a relationship with a narcissist is not easy. It requires courage, introspection, and an honest assessment of your emotional well-being. The signs we've discussed: excessive need for admiration, lack of empathy, gaslighting, entitlement, control, idealization and devaluation, and emotional withdrawal, are not isolated incidents. Together, they form a pattern of behavior that erodes your self-esteem and stifles your personal growth. If you identify these signs in your relationship, know this: you are not alone, and it's not your fault. Narcissists are skilled at creating an illusion of love and care while subtly undermining their partners. The pain, confusion, and self-doubt you may feel are not reflections of your worth, but of the toxic dynamic you've been caught in. What can you do if you find yourself in this situation? Start by educating yourself further about narcissistic behavior. Knowledge is a powerful tool that helps you recognize manipulation and resist its effects. Seek support from trusted friends, family, or mental health professionals who can provide clarity and strength during this challenging time. Setting boundaries is also essential. A narcissist thrives on control, but boundaries disrupt that power dynamic. Communicate your limits clearly and enforce them consistently. If your boundaries are repeatedly disrespected, it may be time to consider leaving the relationship. Walking away is not a failure. It's an act of self-preservation and empowerment. Healing from a narcissistic relationship takes time. The scars left by gaslighting, manipulation, and emotional neglect run deep. But remember, every step you take toward understanding, setting boundaries, and reclaiming your identity is a step toward freedom and peace. In closing, I urge you to prioritize yourself and your mental well-being. A healthy relationship should lift you up, not tear you down. You deserve a partnership built on mutual respect, love, and support, not control, manipulation, or emotional harm. By recognizing the signs of narcissism, you empower yourself to make decisions that honor your worth and ensure a brighter, healthier future. Thank you.